Hi there, it's Paul. So now all the projects are assigned and everyone's excited to get started on doing the project. People are planning on meetings with the sponsor and thinking about how they're going to build or design or develop whatever is required for the project. But before you get too far down the road, let's take a look at what we need to be doing here for the actual management of the project. So what is a senior project? Well, we know what a senior project is now, but let's look at the outcomes of the senior project. Two things that we need to finish the semester with are a written report and a presentation to summarize the project. So turning on the equipment or actually making the machine run, that's not part of our final objective, although that's the direction we're going to go with it. But let's just keep in mind that our deliverable to the college is a written report and a final presentation. So let's look at the components of a SMART project. Specific situation, definable boundaries, I think we have that. Measurable change or improvement, achievable, realistic expectations, and timely. And the final part of that is it needs to be interesting. So I think all of our projects meet these requirements. And this is just kind of a reminder, it's ways projects fail. So let's take a look at this. The first is if the scope is either undefined or we have scope creep. Scope creep is when the end deliverable keeps changing. Access to people or company data might not be available. We take the wrong approach, the wrong method. There's time conflicts, resource problems, and maybe quality problems. Maybe we're just not putting effort into doing the right tasks or the right things that need to be done to ensure success. So this is kind of upfront, and we have to kind of keep all of these things in mind, that if we let any of these components start slipping, we might end up with a failed project, and we don't want that on our hands. The first thing that is already done is a project charter, so we've completed that. Now we're in the preliminary analysis stage. So let's look at what has to be done here. We need to review our charter. That includes reviewing the presentations that the initial teams were doing. We need to come up with a project plan, and that might involve updating the charter. So the charter is a living document. It's not like it's set in stone, so it might need to be updated. We might need to revise resources, responsibilities, do a risk analysis, and plan a budget. Those are all part of our project plan. And we need to come up with an information plan or a communication plan. What information is needed? How are we going to communicate it? Where do we get the information from? So all of that needs to be planned out. And lastly, we need to do a project proposal. The project proposal is a written report form of essentially the charter documents. So the charter gives us the initial information. We do some research on what, if we're doing an oven control, for example, what control systems are practical to consider, what information is needed, and we put all that together into a written report. And that written report will be the kind of the basis for the final report. So again, that's going to be kind of a living document. So these are the things that you need to be focused on right now, is working on the preliminary analysis. We don't want to just charge out and start building components or buying components or wiring things or whatever's necessary for the project. We need to kind of take a methodical approach about it and make sure we're going in the right direction. And so that should be your focus right now. The one part that's not in here that I think you need to consider is what options are available for doing this project. First of all, there's the null option, and that's doing nothing. And that's not probably something we have to explore too much for these projects, because we do intend on doing the projects. There's the option that's already been presented in the charter document, but what other options are feasible or practical that maybe should be considered? So all of that needs to come up in our project proposal. When we propose that we're going to do something, we should also cover a little bit about the other options that we could have done, but we're not doing those because of these reasons. So we can't just ignore other options. We have to address them and validate that we're going in the right direction. Okay, that's all for now, and let's get going on these projects. Thanks.